you're listening to episode 282 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Well, hello, Small and Supercharged podcast listeners. I hope you're having a great week or day whenever you're listening to this. I hope you are having a good one. Did you know that Facebook turned 20 this month? So depending on when you're listening to this, this is February 2024. I mean, that sounds crazy to me. But Facebook turned 20 this month. And I've been doing quite a bit of radio, particularly, and a little bit of video around whether having Facebook around for 20 years and social media in general for 20 years has been a good thing or a bad thing. Now, I should say, complete full disclosure alert, I am a Meta lead trainer, which means that I've done quite a lot of Meta training, which Meta is Facebook, it's also Instagram, WhatsApp and Messenger around the platforms. And I also train people in how to use it. I love Instagram. I love TikTok, particularly for its cake making and dog videos. I'm on YouTube. I am on X, formerly Twitter. And I really love social media. I do a lot of teaching around it for individuals, for people at university, and also for small businesses and brands to help them really grow their following, to help them reach their customers, grow community, build loyalty, build trust, etc., etc., etc. So I have got strong opinions on this. And I just thought, if you hadn't listened before and you think, gosh, she's quite pro Facebook. I am. I'm pro all of social media. I don't think it's without its flaws. So I'm not completely naive. But I can't think of anything that isn't without its flaws. You know, anything in life has got its flaws. So I think it's a lot to expect it to be a perfect platform. But I wanted to just really share some thoughts around what 20 years of, well, Facebook or Meta and social media has done in a positive way, because I think it's done a huge amount in a positive way. I think there have been some negatives, and I think that, in my opinion, these are caused by the users of social media rather than the platforms, which I'm probably going to talk about because I do feel really passionately about this. And for me, I think a real key part of this whole puzzle is around education. And I've talked about this on different radio shows and TV as well. Education is such a key part. And one part of the education is how to use the platforms for your own benefit. So thinking about from a brand point of view or a business point of view, understanding what kind of content works, how to take better imagery, videos, how to engage your audience, how to nurture engagement, how to build a community, how to utilize things like groups, how to create like short form video content, long form video content. All of this is one side of the learning and the education. And through the one-to-one work I do, also, shameless plug, through my membership group, Small and Supercharged Mastermind, we talk a lot about utilizing of social media as well as other marketing mindset, do social media critiques, weekly live coaching calls. Go and see riafreemanpr.co.uk and go to Small and Supercharged Mastermind to find out all about that. So I do think education is incredibly valuable. I think it's essential in how to utilize the platforms. But I also think it's really important that we as users set aside the business side, set aside the brand side. We as users understand more about how to work social media and how to make it work for us. And if you are listening as a parent, and I'm in that boat too, I think it's even more important, because the generation that are growing up now, who are just starting to use social media or who are on social media, when I was 13, which is the age that most social media platforms you're allowed to use from, social media wasn't a thing. So whilst we all had our own pressures in our childhood, social media wasn't one of those. Today, teenagers and beyond have got the pressure of social media. They have got to learn how to interact, how to engage, how to deal with issues that aren't okay. Things like trolling, bullying, inappropriate content, whatever form that takes. They need to learn how to deal with it not just in terms of reporting it or blocking it or whatever, but also how to mentally process what they've seen and how not to let that affect them negatively. They've got a lot of stuff to go at. And I remember a few months ago, could have been a year ago, I lose track of time, that I was listening to a conversation with some people at school, sort of school gate conversation, which I was probably playing on my phone, I'll be honest, about how a particular parent was planning to handle the subject of social media with her child. Now, her child is not at the age of using social media, but I was absolutely appalled when her way of protecting her child was not to let her use social media when she was the correct age. And I don't know how I managed to bite my tongue, because if you know me, you know that isn't one of my skills. But I was really worried about that. Because to me, if we are banning stuff and we are not letting people do it when everyone is going to be using it, social media is here to stay. It's got so many good positives. People have grown communities on there that have made them feel less alone when they've needed support. People have been able to unite with others or with missing objects or missing important things. People have been able to get jobs through social media, find careers, find passions, keep up with their family. If we're stopping all of these positives because we're worried about the negatives and therefore our solution is to ban it, what that's going to do, in my opinion at least, is push the use of it underground. Young people will be using social media in private, in quiet, because it's not what they're allowed to do. This means they are cutting off any communication opportunity they've got with something they're not comfortable with, something that's worried them or scared them or frightened them, because they're not meant to be using it anyway. That's one side of it. And of course, if they're not taught about it and how to utilize it correctly, how to deal with things that are not okay, they're in a hugely disadvantaged position to start with. And I just don't think that's okay. So education is massive. Education of the people using social media, the young people using it. Also education of the parents and how they can support their child on it. What are good things? And I know there's lots of information about online safety. And if you are a parent listening to this and you are freaked out by social media, go and look at those things. Look for the advice. People have put time in. Go and look at the correct advice, like the proper, legit advice. And don't be afraid of it. Like, lean into it. Think, okay, I am worried about it because of X, Y, and Z. So what can I do to address that? How can I learn more? What can I do to put myself in a better position so I can help support my child, help support my own stresses and worries about it? Please do that instead. Because social media does have so many advantages, and I've obviously mentioned a few there, but it really, really does. I mean, the people that I've managed to connect with through social media, from a personal point of view, from a business point of view, I love LinkedIn from a business point of view. The B2B aspect of LinkedIn, the ability to communicate and connect with people, has been huge for my business and my brand and lots of things I'm trying to achieve and do. And without having that LinkedIn connection, it would be much, much harder. Through the other social media platforms, through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, people are able to find those who have got similar passions, beliefs, thoughts. It's been able to amplify really, really good causes. It's been able to educate people around things that have helped keep them safer or even keep them alive. It's allowed people, even with the most random of hobbies, to find like-minded people. It's allowed those who have been going through a really challenging situation that others in the world are going through, but perhaps not their next door neighbour, to connect. And I think that's one of the huge things with Facebook, with other social media as well. And again, something that was really amplified during the pandemic and we weren't allowed to go and physically see people, is people could still keep up with what was going on social media. People could still share what they were up to. They could share moments of joy that gave them a buzz and made them feel happy, as well as use things like Messenger and WhatsApp and Zoom and other platforms that let people have that connection. Without social media, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't be able to connect with people and find those gems of people. From a business point of view, some businesses are built solely off the back of one social media platform. It's allowed people who have got no concept of traditional advertising to effectively promote their business to their target audience, grow incredible followings, and develop really amazing businesses. It's allowed people who just have had the thought of an idea to test the water for free and grow that if they want. It's allowed people to sell their own possessions through things like Marketplace and other things like that. It's incredible. And I know it's not perfect. I was on the radio a few weeks ago talking about social media and Facebook's birthday. And it was with somebody who was part of a charity that was set up because, unfortunately, a young person took their life, and they had seen a lot of inappropriate content on social media, which, was definitely not good. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect, because it isn't at all. And there are flaws, and, it isn't perfect. But another thing I stand behind wholeheartedly is that it's not the platform that is creating this content. So I like to think of a similar analogy, and I feel like I've shared this before, about, car accidents. So my car that's sitting on my drive now isn't going to cause an accident sitting on my drive now. However, if I get in the car and I'm absolutely drunk, or I do something crazy and crash into a tree, I'm the thing that's caused the car to crash. The car didn't decide to crash. It doesn't have that awareness. So I think then it's like blaming the car for the car accident that the drunk driver caused. It's the drunk driver that caused the accident. The car was the vehicle. So with social media, I don't think it's the platform that's at fault. It's the person that's posting that content that's at fault, because they're the one that is putting that thing into the vehicle. They are the drunk driver. They are putting it into that platform, and then it is causing problems. Now, of course, there are things that help to identify this inappropriate content as AI. There are people, real life people, who look and review content. We've all got the ability to hide or report stuff. And these are all really important. And I hope that when, as AI continues to develop, and it's developing at an astonishing speed, that will get better and better. But I've seen myself, just with people, on other platforms, like if particular words are flagged as being damaging, people will use different words to describe a thing, or they'll shove numbers in there instead so it doesn't say the word. Or one thing I've seen a bit now is, rather than someone saying, oh, unfortunately, someone died, it would be they unalived, or other words that I assume it's so it prevents filters picking it up. So you've got, it's not just a case of, it's not as simple, I don't think, as some people might like it to be. And that is a shame, but it that I think is the case. So to me, social media is brilliant. It isn't perfect, but it is brilliant. And I think it's been a real force for good over its 20 years. There have been some brilliant things it has achieved, some things it has helped people do, some really important causes it has helped to amplify. Of course, just like with the negatives, it's that person and it's given them that platform. And that's brilliant to be able to do that. And it makes me a bit sad when people blame it for everything that's wrong in the world, and you think, but it wasn't the platform that did it. Of course, it's got a way to go, and we've all got a responsibility to use it well. It's a brilliant tool that if we utilise it well, it can transform our lives, let alone our businesses. It can really do amazing things. And I'd really encourage you that if you don't love social media as much as I do, which, to be fair, you don't have to love it as much as I do, but the things you're worried about with it, learn, do the work, find out how you can overcome these things, if there is a way you can overcome them. Learn more about the reporting processes of the different platforms. Learn how you can control your content and your feed more. If you don't like the way that you use it, if you think you use it too much, put limits in for how long you're going to use it. Take control over it to make it work for you, because it can add so much. And understand how you can control the bits you don't like to make your experience better. And please, let's start educating younger people about how to use it well. Let's not shy away from the dangers that are there, because they're there, but let's teach how to overcome them, how to understand them, how to report them, how to talk about them. So we're breaking down these barriers so we can all feel more comfortable with it. We can all understand what we can do and help people feel empowered about their usage. To me, that's super, super important. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to know your thoughts. Have you been on Facebook from the start? I haven't. I spent the first, few years trying to dodge requests from people I tried to avoid at school. So I didn't get on it the whole 20 years ago. Definitely got a lot more into it when it started to be utilised well from a business point of view, because of obviously what I was doing for work. But I'd love to know your thoughts. 20 years, good, bad, indifferent? What kind of relationship have you got with social media, with Facebook? Take care.